So this late Banshee harassment by SeleCT has been very favorable to him the entire game. Looking at the income tab yet again in the update, toggling between right now 38 over 23 SCVs. And army count, I mean, at this point, it's just amazing because SeleCT is actually ahead right now, too. So he has sacrificed, was able to save that medevac, and pretty much forced MorroW to just defend at his base, making him, I think, much more uncomfortable with the situation. MorroW, even despite all that harassment, decided to take the second expansion, his first expansion, I'm sorry, at the natural, making it that much harder to actually defend between the two. There is fire going down somewhere, and here another drop from SeleCT at this point, this time with a siege tank. And so SeleCT just not giving up on these drops. He's very good at it, blasting away at everything. These the SCVs have to transition out and actually transfer to the expansion, which is definitely in MorroW's favor that he can transfer everything out, but everything just getting blasted here from SeleCT, and actually going to be targeting that orbital command as well. Once these SCVs are popping out, oh no, they're popping out the backside, so SeleCT trying his very best. MorroW is poking in with that single Banshee, but it's just not going to do very much as there are several missile turrets just set up everywhere. So SeleCT looking very favorable with his build at this point, and even able to, taking down that Banshee with the scan right now. MorroW finally is able to pump out some Hellions to take out this tank at his base, but at what cost? He hasn't been mining at his main, going to retransfer back up there. So, I mean, this move has been very interesting for him. It's, again, a blessing and a curse, as it allows him to mine while his main is getting shelled out, but it also means that it was that much more difficult to defend initially. Now, MorroW did have the advantage earlier on in that he could catch up in his SCV count because he had the extra orbital command, but at this point, SeleCT has established the natural himself, and it's going to be almost impossible for MorroW to catch up unless he takes another expansion, which is going to be very risky as he is behind in the army count, largely due to that SCV discrepancy. Actually, no, he actually is, yeah, it looks like the SCV count is moving in, but MorroW just going to be pushing ahead right now as well, and taking down catching one of SeleCT's Banshees in mid-transition, forcing it to run away. SeleCT able to get that away in time. The Banshee is trying to track it down. And yeah, it looks like MorroW knows that he is behind, has to catch up somehow. And the only way for Terran to catch up is to build another orbital command. Another drop going down from SeleCT on the base. And now this time with Marauders. So just constantly pressuring him. Not even doing, I don't think they've ever met with a full army at this point. Both players just constantly attacking supply. Unfortunately for MorroW, this has meant that SeleCT is far ahead right now, 46 over 27, in just playing an incredible game against his opponent. MorroW just really forced to try to catch up, and very risky to take another expansion, especially when he's behind in the army count this much. As SeleCT can just work on bulking up his army size, really work on the macro game at this point, and just kind of steamroll over MorroW. MorroW having to spend another 400 to build another orbital command. And looking at the units lost, just look at the resource count, 93 for MorroW, and has lost 2,000 more minerals and gas at that point. So I don't think that MorroW, it's going to take a pretty big miracle for MorroW to catch up. Now, I don't think it's out of his possibility, as he is one of the top players out there. But given that this is a mirror match, it's not like he's going to have like a mix of units that will outdo his opponent. SeleCT actually is prepping up for and switching things out a little bit, going with the MM and M, and now both players getting combat. And it looks like MorroW is finally going to transition over to tanks as well. Although SeleCT, looking at the unit count right now, has a few more tanks out on 3 versus just the 1, and already has established his Viking. This is going to make it that much harder for MorroW to retaliate against this, as the Vikings give the siege tanks range, and now he's just going to be able to push in. MorroW just doesn't really have too much of an answer, needs to run in the Marauders to really do that much damage. It looks like there was trying to hopefully defend against something else going down right there, and now MorroW getting a surround and using the SCVs to his advantage, aggroing that. There are multiple PDDs going down. I'm not even sure who from what side, but everything now just getting blasted. SeleCT able to take out almost everything on the ground, and MorroW, I think, just lost way too many SCVs there. Yes, just down to 16 SCVs. So even if he is able to withstand this next attack with some, he'll need some incredible micros since his army is that much smaller. he is pretty much going to be way too far behind in the game to catch up. SeleCT has pretty much faced almost no pressure on his side and just kept the pressure on MorroW as well. So a very formidable opponent. Definitely can see why SeleCT is ranked in the top 5 of the entire world. And now just shelling away at his opponent. MorroW going to be doing a drop right on top of the tank so that it cannot shoot it and will receive splash damage from its friendly tank fire. But meanwhile, using the sight advantage of the Vikings to just blast away, even landing one of the Vikings to give him vision up onto the cliffs as well. Looking at the army count, 92 over 36. Props to MorroW for fighting back and trying his very best, but at this point, he's just not going to be able to. Really just trying to hope that perhaps SeleCT isn't quite the macro level player that he is, but SeleCT does have a 3 base going down. There is nothing left at this base, and literally only 13 harvesters out on the map right now. MorroW does have an extra orbital command, so might be able to eke out a slight advantage as SeleCT opted for the planetary fortress here. So MorroW can try to mule away, although I think he is already maxed out at this point. And just looking at the income tab, 1,300 over 1,200, and that is with the mules constantly streaming out there. SeleCT now just going out across the field, comfortably sitting ahead in the lead and just going to macro up as he pushes ahead. 102 over 34. I think if SeleCT pushed in right now, he probably could just steamroll in, although MorroW is holding up a really good fight and just forcing his opponent to stay out. I think SeleCT has a lot of respect for his opponent by not just steamrolling in. I think fears that MorroW has a lot more than he thinks that he actually does. This lone Viking out here going to move in. I'm not sure what if SeleCT actually forgot about that one. But now just trying to secure the map, has very, very strong map control, building down supply depots. These make it that much harder for another command center to go down. Very smart move from SeleCT, and going to be just walking his Marauder slowly down to take out this expansion right here. I think, yeah, so, wow, the colors are getting mixed up. MorroW did have an idea that that was coming in, but the Marauders are actually going to be outstimming and just out-shooting everything. MorroW at this point really can't afford to lose any more SCVs right now, and unfortunately is just going to be losing all the mining at the base. This orbital command is actually potentially going to fall down if he can't repair it in time. It's going to start burning away at this point. Needs to try to land it down, but once it does land down, the Marauders are there to kind of snipe it out, and it looks like +1 finally going down for SeleCT at this point. MorroW really just trying to turtle in and try to win it out. He knows he can't do that, unfortunately, because they are so deep into the game, and SeleCT also has 3 bases mining effectively at 2 of them, and probably going to be taking an expansion. There's almost no pressure at the top. MorroW cannot move out from his base at all, as the pressure is non-stop from SeleCT at this point. Side B giving, and the Vikings are just going to land and fry away this tank that's just caught a little bit out and being rallied over. A little bit off right there, but still able to take it out. And I think we're going to see a GG. More bases going down for SeleCT as well. So great game played by SeleCT, and I think we're going to see a GG from MorroW pretty soon, as he's just far too behind, even trying to repair this orbital and pumping out more SCVs. But looking at that harvester count, 73 over 31. SeleCT has just done a great job at slowly wearing down his opponent. MorroW is still able to hold things out here, which is crazy. SeleCT just kind of streaming more and more units in, not trying to mass up for any big reason. And now MorroW does see that he has, can't defend against this incoming army. So SeleCT goes up 2-1 against MorroW in the Zotac Cup Finals. Very exciting game, and looking forward to casting the rest. This has been JCS StarCraft signing off.